Hey guys, it's Leota, and this is LCS Week 5 previews. Now, there will be some rather important games this week, but I will say that the majority of games are all important. There's only 2 weeks of LCS, 5 games total, and as you could tell with the standings, having all these teams at 5 and 4, 4 and 5, 3 and 6, and the top team is 7 and 2. So, if they lost 2 games and these teams won, like this team won 2 games, you're already caught up. Yeah, this is a very close LCS split, to say the least. So let's go straight into the first day and what we can kind of expect and what we should really be interested in. So the most and obvious one is the first match, which is FlyQuest against C9. Now, this is important in the fact that if C9 beats FlyQuest, and C9 does it in a very good, fashionable way, then hopefully, at least for like fans and interest of the team, since they have such a big brand, they will actually continue doing this and have built some momentum, because this team has been struggling. And even though they picked up a win in week 4, and people thought, oh shit, I think they're back, I think they're getting their mojo back, and then they lost. So they really need to demonstrate that they can beat the top team. And if as FlyQuest coming off this break, they need to demonstrate that they can continue beating the top team, because if FlyQuest can't, and let's say they plateaued a bit, which is possible based on how they've done their growth and everything, then they're going to slip. And if they slip, they could find themselves, they'll still be in playoffs. To be honest, like I don't see FlyQuest ever slipping out of playoffs from their position currently, but they could go into like a second, third, fourth place situation. I doubt they would end up in a 5th or 6th situation, but they could slip a couple positions down, and that may make a big difference for their playoff matchups, especially, if they so happen to land like 100 Thieves, like that probably wouldn't be their preference. Even though naturally, like, their playstyle is good at countering mistakes, I think, like, for instance, FlyQuest versus Energy, like, Energy's probably one of the better matchups for FlyQuest, if Energy were to make it, that is. So that matchup, that first game, really important, because again, like, you want to see if C9 comes back, and then you want to see if FlyQuest can maintain it. The second game, Dig versus 100 Thieves. Honestly, I don't know. Like, this is not like as important per se. It is important for 100 Thieves because it's a game in which if they win, that continues to push them up towards first place. And then in the second day, you'll notice that they'll have FlyQuest. So if they go 2-0 and FlyQuest goes 0-2, they overtake them, right? They will be 8-3 and FlyQuest will be 7-4. And then that can kind of project them towards a path for top 2. And it'd be very, I would be very surprised if 100 Thieves actually got top 2 with their roster in their first split. Like, it'd be really, really good for them. So this Dig matchup, it's more important for 100 Thieves. For Dignitas, yes, they need wins to keep like growing, but it's okay to technically lose this game for this week, like at it, because they're 2-0 against Immortals. So if they tie against Immortals, they get the tiebreaker, right? I think, yeah. See, like, Immortals 0-2 versus them, 2-0. And if they go, and this is really important, if they go 2-0 against Shopify, then they get another tiebreaker victory. So this is like also a very, very important game. I was just going to do the first day, but we're kind of connect these two at this point. This will be really important because now they'll be 2-0 against Shopify, 2-0 against Immortals. Both these teams are 3 and 6. Both these teams are if these are the 2 bottom teams, and these guys can at least remain at the same win-loss as them while being 2-0 over them, they'll make playoffs. So this super, super important for them. This is more important for them. This is important for both of them, right? And then, of course, this, again, is like an incredibly important game. So FlyQuest has some pretty... FlyQuest could lose the C9 game, honestly. Like, I guess I could say that this is not the most important for them to win, It's just a kind of to prove that they're still able to maintain things. But this will be the match that they must secure. They must secure their win over 100 Thieves. Now, TL versus Energy, both these teams are kind of like iffy on the direction they're going. And for TL's sake, you know, they're already 0-2 versus 100 Thieves. So even if they get wins and they match 100 Thieves, may not make it. You know, if they lose to FlyQuest as well, again, it'll put them in a really awkward spot. But for this specifically, again, you know, if you're already 0-1, it's going to be more important for TL to win this than for Energy to win it, because Energy could lose this game and still win additional games. And, you know, they'll be fine. Like, you know, it's a 1-to-1 like tiebreaker situation. But for TL, you know, you lose this and now you're tied against Energy, which means technically they place over you. Not great. And then for Immortals versus SR, we have to win. Like, we have to win. We're already up 1-0 versus Shopify. Going up 2-0 will be incredibly important. And then our second match is also against Energy, which again, we are 1-0 versus. So right now we're only 1-0 against 3 teams. And if we beat Energy, and again, this will be really important for Energy as well. This game, not so much for Energy, but this game will be important for them. But if we go up 2-0 against them, and then 2-0 against Shopify, who are our 2 opponents this week, then we'll be 5-6. Energy loses this game. If they lost this game, this will be, you know, it'll be okay. But if they lose the next game, then we place over them. Or even if we go 1-1 per se, like, again, we would be placing over them. And of course, if we beat Shopify, and, you know, Shopify loses against Dig, we're in playoffs right now. We're in playoffs, and we have a tiebreaker victory over 2 teams. And the only way to really catch up to Cloud9 is if Cloud9 slips. And that's where, like, we could maybe make up the, you know, the 2-0 here and have another tiebreaker victory. But they would have to slip in their games this week. And I don't know if that's going to happen. Again, it'll really depend on how in form they come, along with FlyQuest. I will say that Fudge is looking better in the top lane. I feel like Blabber is kind of moving through more at this point, and hopefully they figure out the right picks for Berserker and how Vulcan wants to play with him, especially Vulcan's picks, because he has not had the same presence he should. But if they can't get their stuff together, then that gives Immortals an opportunity to kind of get that situation going. And then TL versus C9, you know, this is the last matchup I haven't really covered. I mean, it'd be good for them in the end, right? Because, I mean, they're 0-1 versus TL. You know, if TL goes up 2-0 versus C9, and then they also prevent the situation from having tiebreaker on Energy. You know, these are supposedly supposed to be with the two of the top teams, right? Energy and C9. This puts TL probably pretty much if I believe if TL were to 2-0 this week, they will make playoffs. I'm almost certain if they 2-0 this week, they'll make playoffs, because now Energy doesn't have something over them, and then they have something over C9. And so even if C9 has a full comeback in week 3, it won't matter as much, because at this point they would be 7-4, and if C9 doesn't pick up a win, C9 could go, you know, C9 could get all their wins, and it still wouldn't matter. And then of course, if you look into week 6, and I don't want to push too much into this, but just to show, like, TL's playing against Dig, they're playing against FlyQuest, and then they're playing against IMT. So I love my team. We are definitely a dark horse that can do a lot. But if you look at the standings, you would say, okay, these are 2 of the teams that are not performing as well. So it's an easier week 6 schedule compared to your week 5. So if they outperform their week 5, TL's in playoffs. If 100 Thieves is able to close out against FlyQuest, they can make a run for top 2. If FlyQuest slips here, they're still fine, but it does put them in a more difficult situation in week 6, but they'll still be fine. FlyQuest have won enough games; they'll be fine. Cloud9 has to go 1-1. They must go 1-1. Dignitas, they must beat Shopify. Immortals, they must win both games. Win both games. Keep your head-to-heads at 2-0. That would be really good. And Shopify, you know, a team I haven't really talked too much about, but they just need to pick up any wins they can. Like, that's just what they have to do. You know, they don't want to go an 0-2 header against Dignitas. They don't want to go an 0-2 header versus Immortals. Like, they cannot lose these games. I believe if Shopify goes 0-2, if they go 0-2 this week, they're not making playoffs. I think their playoff streams are dead. It'll be really hard pressed to do something for week 6. So they're in a very dire situation. Personally, I think they need to win. They can go 1-1. They can go 1-1. They should, if they go 2-0, they're good to go. They need to go 1-1. 1-1. And technically they could go 1-1, right? And they need to go 2-0. This is kind of like how I see this week 5 like preview, like what are the expectations and teams really need. But obviously, you know, for the bottom teams, like, you need to go 2-0. You need to go 2-0. These guys need to go 2-0. I only put 0-2 just when I was talking about, but like, they need to go 2-0, right? So Team Liquid, Immortals, Shopify, they go 2-0. They're doing great. Everyone else, they can go 1-1 and still be fine with their situations. And I'm pretty excited for this because, like I said, you know, once week 5 passes, we're going to have a really clear idea on what games must go their way for week 6. So thanks for watching, guys. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe. Till next time.